Welcome to The Family. How far would you go to keep your family together? I'll tell you a story of one of my students. We'll call her Abby. She's 13 years old and she came for her lesson yesterday, and she wasn't crying this time. A lot of the time she'll come and she is crying or had been crying because her father won't see her anymore or her father doesn't talk to her anymore. Her parents were divorced when she was a very little girl, and the mother, who's very young looking right now, must have been really young. It's very hard for young women to know what to do when something bad happens in the divorce. So I'm here to see if I can help at all. So Abby comes to her lesson and there were no tears, and she always asks me, how's the album coming? Do you have any new songs that I can hear? She loves hearing the songs that I've written for the album, Keep You Forever. And I didn't have anything to play for her, and I said, but I told her about this filming today. And she was excited, and I said, you know I'm doing this whole project for you, Abby, don't you? And she smiled, she goes, yeah, I know. She's the sweetest little thing, because it's for Abby and all the Abbies in the world that have to deal with this, that every day they have to deal with their parents fighting, with their father, who I believe is one of those lost or broken men. I've met him, and it's like there's nothing there. He is a misunderstood, broken man that I feel no one's ever been able to get out of him or help him with whatever's in his way. And I only met him like twice, but it's like ice cold. And I saw that same look on my husband, the ice cold look, when he was in the dark times. He's on his second marriage, and it's already a bad marriage. His new wife and stepdaughter already went on vacation without him, left him home. So I mean, this isn't good. So what it is when someone is not understood, it doesn't get any better. They'll go to marriage number 2, number 3, number 4. Nothing will ever get better. Would you be willing to look at some of your bad habits that are just not working anymore with your spouse? Chances are, if they're not working with this spouse, they're not going to work with the next spouse either. Consider that you might be happier and more at peace if you could let go of some of your own habits. It can start with you, and it will most likely change the way your partner reacts to you, and change will begin. When you divorce, and I hope I can talk you out of it in time, maybe you can fix your own family issues and save the kids and yourself a whole lot of trouble. There are health issues too. You might not realize what stress can do to children. If you feel anxiety and you're a grown adult, imagine what anxiety feels like in a child. Grief is held in the lungs, and they might start smoking cigarettes, smoking pot, which can lead to possibly to other drugs to ease the grief. It's the self-medication. Every step you take, every word you say directly affects those you love. You can try the sweet as sugar experiment. I talked about it in the other segment. Being kind, remembering why you got married in the first place, stepping it up a notch. Not sassy and sarcastically, but really being kind to someone like you did in the beginning of your relationship. My therapist said to me, treat your husband and your son like you treat your most valued clients or customers. And I was like, I definitely do not do that. And why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you treat them like someone you really value? Maybe you've been too overwhelmed lately, or you maybe become so dependent on your spouse for things. And this goes both ways, that you've stopped doing certain things for yourself. Chances are there is resentment somewhere that has escalated until the two of you are constantly at each other. Like there's no more good anymore. You're just at each other's throats. This is all creating very negative energy, and if you're feeling it and creating it for each other, think of how it affects the children. They feel this negativity, but they are just children, teens, or young adults. You can divorce and cause your children to develop bad habits like smoking and getting into trouble. My son started hanging out with the wrong crowd, the things he did. Anxiety, low self-esteem, guilt, The children feel, was this my fault? With some deep, important work, you can show your children instead conflict resolution, true love, compassion, and forgiveness. I watch my husband and my son together now, and it is the most beautiful thing. They play basketball together every Sunday. They play fight, they hug. My son lifts him up and cracks his back. They're always hugging. It's just the sweetest thing. I feel responsible for all the happiness and personal growth I have set into motion in my family and even with some of my friends. Try and do whatever it takes to stay together as a family. That's my advice. Look at those bad habits and see if you can make a change. Do you have that PVSS, Punisher Victim Sufferer Syndrome? And are you teaching it to your children? We all know what happens when you don't forgive. But you don't know what happens when you do forgive. I didn't know what was going to happen when I forgave, but it's really beautiful. I'm experiencing it now. We're closer than ever. My husband and I have this connection that I don't think we've ever had, that I used to look at other couples and say, why don't we have that? And I used to say, this isn't my soulmate, but now I look at him and I feel he is my soulmate. I feel we were brought together to crack each other open. I cracked him open and helped him through a really dark time, and I feel like he got this music out of me for the album. I feel like the book and this mission to try to help other people, this wouldn't have happened if we hadn't had the crack. So you never know. I guess he truly is my soulmate. The other thing I wanted to say is your relationship is something you need to maintain. I mean, do you buy a new car and then do nothing to maintain it? Why do that with your marriage and your family and those you love? Look at it as maintenance. Changing habits can be like oil changes. Being responsible for what you say and do are like tire rotations. Simple maintenance, simple yet vital to the machine. I was 20 when my dad remarried, and it was horrible. I once went to their house a few hours before the scheduled party time because I figured, hey, it's my father, I'll just get there early. And I heard my stepmother saying to him at a very loud voice, "What is she doing here? Why is she so early?" And that's when reality hit me. I remember that really profoundly, that, oh my goodness, this is not my mother. Oh my goodness, this is not my mother. This is a stranger. This is someplace where I am not welcome. And so that's what happens when you don't forgive. Something like that could happen, but we don't know. You don't know what could happen when you do forgive. I'm here to tell you, give it a try.